below us here is Squaw Valley, but we nicknamed it Echo Valley. And you guys might actually get the privilege of hearing the echo because there's no machinery going. Steam whistles, such as this one, can be heard up to 10 miles away. And back in the peak of the mining days, they were used for all kinds of signals, such as the beginning of shifts, lunches, the end of shifts, warnings, emergencies, and the miners could hear them underground. Now down in Squaw Valley here, about where that pile of timber sits, in the late 1800s, a town named Barry stood there. And Barry had a population of about 200 people. If you went a little bit further down the valley, you would come to Mountain City. Mountain City had a population of 500 people and 2 gold ore processing plants, the Brody and the Rosebud. In 1904, the Brody caught fire and scorched this whole valley to the ground. It was said that the fire was so intense you could hear the crackling all the way back in Cripple Creek. They never did rebuild those towns. The townspeople just relocated either Cripple Creek or Victor. If you look way down in the valley there, you'll see a small patch of dirt road. That is the Shelf Road. It's a 28-mile scenic trip to Canyon City. And the reason it's called the Shelf Road is because at some points it's 1,000 feet high on the canyon wall off the valley floor. If you're ever planning on taking that trip, I suggest 4-wheel drive or a rental car. The Shelf Road was also used by the Pony Express, and it took just a short 24 hours to get your mail between Cripple Creek and Canyon City. Now, with all our automobiles and technology, it takes 3 days. That's progress. Now, straight across from me here, you'll see that large pile of waste rock with the steel head frame coming out of it. That is the remains of the El Paso mine. The El Paso mine produced 11 million in gold during its life, and it's 1,500 feet deep. To put that in perspective, the Empire State Building is 1,500 feet tall. It also has 33 miles of tunneling associated with it, and it was in operation up until 1976 when there was a fire in the wheel hoist house, and it closed. This paved road below us here is Colorado State Highway 67. It sits on the original roadbed for the Florence and Cripple Creek Railroad, the first railroad to get to Cripple Creek in July of 1894. It was a very profitable railroad, and it paid for its 31-mile construction and just its first year of operations. However, that was short-lived when in 1912, there was a flash flood in Phantom Canyon with 30-foot-high water walls that knocked out 7 miles of track and a dozen trestles, and they never did rebuild. Now, you guys are in luck today because the smoke is not clouding the view of that panoramic view of that mountain range out there. That is the Sangre de Cristo mountain range. They were named by early Spanish explorers that saw them during a blood-red sunset, and Sangre de Cristo literally translates from Spanish to English as the blood of Christ. Now I'm sure you've all noticed this barren hillside over here and some of the heavy machinery. That is the current Cripple Creek and Victor Mining Company expansion. At some point in the next year or two, that whole valley will be filled in with rock, and the road will connect from about right here to over across the way there. They just shift around the landscape however they need to around here. They are the largest open pit mining company in Colorado, and they've been in operation since 1991. What open pit mining means is that they dig the rock out of the ground, and they send the rock to a crushing facility to get it to a smaller size. And they put it up in those huge piles up there on the hillside. Those are called leach pads. And then they send a sulfuric acid, cyanide, and water solution through it, which leaches the gold from the ore. At the bottom of the leach pads, they have collection ponds where they collect the gold, the liquefied gold, and then they send it to a processing plant to turn it back into solid gold. They've been very profitable, and as of last spring, from 1991 to last spring, they reported they've mined over 4 million ounces of gold. The current price of gold is around $1,300, so you can just imagine they're making a killing out there. That concludes our stop here at Echo Valley. We're going to back up to the World's Fair.